Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. We are back after doing a crossover mock draft with Bengal yesterday. Well, James did, but we are back.
You did the first 8 picks
I did the first
in
eight picks
a mock draft that no one will ever see.
in a ghost mock that lives in the nether for now on. But today we're going to go through the Week 14 action here, kind of briefly, because a lot of blowouts, a lot of games with some implications, some without. But we also want to go through and talk about some of the upperclassmen who are starting to accept Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl invites as well, and kind of give breakdowns on those players as well. But I think that's all we've got for this episode. But we're ready to dive right in. James, how are you feeling today, man?
Feeling great, man. It was an awesome weekend. It was like almost too much football this weekend, but I think I said this in a previous episode. I do really like how it was spaced out, so I was able to watch so many more games live than I normally am. Like when I get into the tape, I'm sort of going into it blind outside of the 3 or 4 games that I had time to watch live that day, so it was nice to be kind of in the know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So just briefly going through the slate, and again, we're not going to spend as much time on this slate as we typically do. One, because it's shorter, and two, because lots of blowouts, as I said earlier. But we do have some helmet stickers to give out, so we'll go through and stop when we get to them. But Indiana, Purdue, I don't know if we need to spend much time on this. It was blowout. Honestly, felt like Mendoza was trying to win a Heisman. I don't know if you noticed it, but he was forcing a lot of throws. It's like, why are you throwing that? Why are you doing that?
I
Why
don't
are you doing
know.
that?
I think Kurt Signetti said it was the first cold game that Fernando Mendoza's ever played in, and so I mean that could be a narrative, potentially going to New York or New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Sample size of one game, in cold weather, and it's probably the worst game of his season so far.
Yeah.
But and I don't think he won't have another cold weather game, assuming they get a bye. Because the other games will be played in domes or in warm weather states. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one slightly interesting layer. I don't think. I mean, it's not like there's other quarterbacks that are really in competition besides Dante Moore. So like he's not going to not be a top 5 pick because he struggled against Purdue. But it'll be a note for sure.
Yeah, I do think that they'll host a playoff game unless they beat Ohio State. They beat Ohio State, they're going to in as the number 1 seed. Indiana is,
Right.
but there's a couple ways this could play out. Sitting at the number 2 seed, if they lose to Ohio State, I don't think they're dropping any lower than 5 because Oregon's at 5 now, and they beat Oregon in a head-to-head. And so that 5 seed is the team that's playing that group of 6 qualifier, which would be Tulane. And so if that were the case, they'd host that game against Tulane in Bloomington in late December.
Yeah.
And then the other case would be, I mean, if they lose, they would, I mean, I think 6 would be the lowest they would drop. And that's the case too. They'd host the 11 seed. Even if they drop to 7, they'd host a game. So I think he's going to have one more cold game in Bloomington. So we'll see if that narrative keeps up. But, and again, unless they beat Ohio State, then yeah, then he's.
And I mean, he said personally the cold weather impacted him. So, yeah, it'll be something to look for. But that's really all that is, I think, worth mentioning. I mean, Omar Cooper had an incredible touchdown. Did you see that? It was like an underthrown pass
slot
down
fade.
The seam. Yeah.
Yeah. And he threw like 4 tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. All right. Yeah, that's about all I got in that game too. Texas A&M, huge upset there from Texas. Not really huge, 16 versus 3, but all of the things that Texas A&M had on the line there. You lose one game and you're not even going to have a chance to win a conference championship game. So that's brutal. A brutal outcome for A&M, despite being undefeated heading into that last week of the season. Marcel Reed threw for 180 and 2 interceptions. Again, I haven't checked back in on Arch because I've just assumed like this kid's going back to school. I'll tap back in this summer. I'll just tap back in this summer. I do know that he had a really strong second half. It's really the first Jack Endries game we've had all season as well, and really the first Quintravion Wisner game that we've really had all season as well. Because Wisner's been hurt most of the season, and Endries has just been really unproductive. Um, but that's about it from that perspective. Casey Concepcion only went for 57 on five catches in this one as well. Cassius Howe got
I think
shut out by Trevor Gooseby.
Yeah, I think this is, even though it might not be, the recommended path, I think this could be the kind of game that propels somebody like Trevor Gooseby into declaring earlier than, you know, I would say he probably should. But I mean, he was dominant against Cassius House, so this is definitely a resume game for him.
Yeah. I think by the time April comes around, we're gonna have like 3 edge rushers go in the first round,
Yeah, it
and we're
it
gonna have
gets
like 8
hard.
receivers.
It gets hard. It's like you really find out, like what I find is that you can watch a class, grade them, rank them on your board and everything, but actually doing a mock draft um, really shows you where the strengths and weaknesses. It
Mhm.
like forces you to kind of see where the strengths and weaknesses of the class are. And whenever I'm doing a mock draft, I always find myself like, the thought path that you go is, okay, what are the needs? And it's always edge rusher. And then I filter edge rusher, and I'm like, oh wait, there are no edge rushers left. I do that for like every team. So that kind of emphasizes, I think, the positional disparity that's going to be there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Moving on, Georgia and Georgia Tech. Again, not a lot from an NFL draft perspective outside of a Keelan Rutledge versus Christian Miller matchup one on one
I think
in this game.
I think Monroe Freeling, the Georgia tackle, I think he has a chance to go day two. He's a really good athlete, but it could be a back to school candidate. I watched a few games of him over the weekend, and I was pretty impressed. But definitely want to watch more. And then we'll get into him with the Senior Bowl declarations. But I mean, I thought that Keelan Rutledge had a really good game against Georgia, and I might come in a little bit higher on you than Keelan
Yeah.
Rutledge. I think I've been kind of impressed with him, but I only had time to watch a couple games before we started recording.
All right. All right. All right. Moving on. Ole Miss, Mississippi State's the Egg Bowl here. The Lane Kiffin extravaganza, if you will. But Trinidad Chambliss trying to apply for a waiver doesn't look likely. He's trying to get an extra year though. We'll see. Uh, I think Chambliss has played himself into like being that first like backup to your guy off the board. By the time we get to like the 4th round, I think there's a chance that Trinidad Chambliss could be that first. I mean, Dylan Gabriel went 3rd round for God's sake, which I think you could say is bad process by the Browns. But like, I think Chambliss is way better of a prospect than I thought of Gabriel last year.
Yeah, Gabriel, I think his processing ability got overrated because his lack of traits made people overrate his processing ability because they were like, well, there's got to be something, you know? But he was late on a lot of stuff or just flat
Mm-hmm.
out didn't see it. Part of that could be that he's short, and that's, I think that also just inhibited his ability to see the middle of the field. But yeah, that's kind of a sidebar. I would agree with that. I like Trinidad Chambliss a lot, but it would be great if he could get a waiver. Here's my
Yeah.
question from the Ole Miss perspective, and this has nothing to do with the game, but with Lane Kiffin leaving, I've been thinking about, obviously LSU's a better job than Ole Miss, but in the NIL era, I feel like it's pretty hard to rank jobs. So, like,
Mhm.
here's my question for you: how would you rank? I'm putting you on the spot. Top 5 SEC jobs.
Oh wow. Um. So I think you got to follow the money a little bit. I think, and you got to take into consideration like administrative.
Right, because
You
LSU's
know,
got,
the governor hanging over
yeah.
their head right now. Hmm. There's a real part of me that wants to say like Texas might be one.
Yeah.
Texas A&M might be a close second. Like they got a lot of money. Texas football, great pipelines to recruit from. Um, those 2 schools I think are in contention to be at the top.
I would,
Auburn could get back there, I think, but Auburn right now is a mess, a gigantic mess. So like, I'm not even considering them top 5 school right
yeah,
now. I think the draw to Alabama and Georgia will always be there, and then I would probably say Ole Miss at 5
really, Ole Miss at 5.
in the SEC. I
Whew,
mean,
I would put
Florida's.
Ole Miss at like the bottom of the
Are you
SEC.
serious? Hmm.
Ole Miss,
I mean, it's
all
better
right,
than Arkansas,
Mississippi
better than South
comes
Carolina, better
like,
than Mississippi State, better than Auburn, better than Kentucky, better than Florida right now.
wait, it's not better than Auburn.
You don't think so?
Like Ole Miss is a Mississippi's a talent rich state, relatively, and they can't get kids to come to their school for
Lane could.
reasons. But like recruiting wise, like they don't have anywhere near the pipeline that like LSU has in Louisiana or Georgia has. I would definitely disagree, but I think
Then I would say
Texas.
Tennessee would be that number 5 team then. But
I
I
would
think
say
Texas A&M are.
I would go Texas. At first, I would say Georgia because they have like I mean, probably the best recruiting location.
Mhm.
But I'm starting to think that maybe their NIL is not quite up to par because they seem to get outbid a lot. Like Jared Curtis today, I know he like backtracked, but I think he's just wanting to save his decision. Um, and then like Texas stole a defensive lineman from him last signing day. I
Mhm.
remember. So I might say I would probably go Texas LSU at 2.
Even with
And
the administration the way it is
yeah,
right now.
yeah, because at LSU you can like not even meet the top 10 recruits in Louisiana, and you'll get like 8 of them, and
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
have like an automatic pipeline of talent that really is unrivaled because um, like other schools are not able to come in and like pluck talent from Louisiana like they can with Georgia and Texas and all that. So I think that is a legitimate upside there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Texas, LSU, Georgia, and then probably Texas A&M. But you could argue A&M with the money. Um, but really, the reason I asked that is because when I think about the conversations, like in today's era, there are the elite jobs, but then
Mhm.
it really just comes down to like the eighth to 30th best job. You could really just what might have been back in 2015. Now you can just sort those by how much financial investment there is from your school, and like those are the best jobs. So it could be Louisville if they started to invest a ton. It's Texas Tech right now.
Mhm.
Like it comes down to alumni and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a sidebar from what ended up not being a very interesting game, which I was hoping for chaos. I was rooting for chaos for sure.
Yeah. Did you watch any Kelly Jones in this game?
I did not. I haven't gotten to the
Okay.
tape.
I was going to ask you about him. All right, Utah, Kansas. I mean, what are we talking about there? Arizona, Arizona State, kind of the same way. What are we talking about there? Jordan Tyson again left the game injured, came back. I think he was still pretty hampered coming back. Like this is a repeating conversation we're having here with Jordan
It's
Tyson.
it's on. It sucks, dude. I mean, because it's sometimes I'm trying to think if there's ever been a guy that had this level of like chronic injury issues and then got to the NFL and it wasn't a problem. I feel like
Yeah.
there's one player that's somewhere in my mind that I can't find, but
Did
it
Stingley? Did Stingley have a lot of soft tissue injuries?
so Stingley was banged up. Yeah, that Stingley's probably the best, but I think Stingley was like two big injury. It was
Mhm.
like one or two.
Greg Newsom is one. He missed like as many games as he played in college. Still went first round,
Yeah,
but he's had soft tissue injuries all through the NFL too. So
but the point is with Tyson, it sucks because I mean he on the field he's an
Mhm.
incredible player. I mean I think that he would be probably my top non quarterback off the board. Obviously depending on the team. I think he would be in that conversation if we turned
Mhm.
injuries off.
Yeah. Ohio State, Michigan, a big one here. Carnell Tate, 5 for 82 and a touchdown. Came on a deep post over the middle. The standouts in this game all came, for the most part, on the defensive side of the ball for Ohio State was Sonny Styles, Kenyatta Jackson, Caden McDonald, Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
It seems like they were all Arvell Reese. We wanted to see Arvell Reese kind of step it back up again, and he had that one drive where it was like a replay sequence where he just erased an entire
the
drive
tackle
by
on that
himself.
screen. That
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Ohio State's defense is that you start to list out the standouts and then you just list the starting 11 players minus like whichever one player had an off game that day. That's the thing with Ohio State's defense is like, one day Jermaine Matthews Jr. will have an off day. They're so dominant they can just absorb a couple players not playing well. So I thought Caleb Downs and probably Kenyatta Jackson, especially towards the end of the game, Sonny Styles, those would probably be my three from this game.
I love it. Offensively, I have a helmet sticker in this game. So I'm giving a helmet sticker to Ohio State tight end Will Kasmerick, man. I just love a good ass kicker. A good ass kicker in the run game at tight end. He even had a nice little seam ball that he went up and got to down the field as well at the seam, which is cool to see him get rewarded every once in a while for. But that dude just does the job that nobody else wants to do, like rep after rep after rep. And they put him on the field in 11 personnel a lot because he's like basically a jumbo. Like he counts as a sixth offensive lineman the way that he blocks. His core strength is awesome when he climbs, and linebackers will try to shed him, and he can just lock them out. Like he's got an awesome core strength, really nasty finisher as well as a blocker. So this is the next line in those Brock Wright to Kokeeft to Jackson Hawes to Will Kasmerick, man. So I think this guy's going to get drafted day 3 just because of his ability to come on the field and give you those reps in the run game, and even as a pass protector.
Can I use Will Kasmerick as a launch point for a quick rant?
Yes.
Okay, so I think probably if you asked me to give you my biggest complaint with PFF grades, it would be tight end run blocking. So Will Kasmerick had a 50.5 run blocking grade from this game.
Which is ridiculous.
I think that's ridiculous, but I think the biggest issue with PFF's run blocking system is that there's no differentiation between difficulty of assignment. And so when you look at tight ends run blocking, they're all being grouped in like they play the same position, where there's really 2 different positions when it comes to tight end run blocking. There's move blocking out in space, where you're matched up with DBs and linebackers. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff that like a Jonnu Smith or a Harold Fannin can accomplish. And then there's like inline blocking, where you're one-on-one with a base defensive end, and that's a exponentially more difficult assignment where the expectation for what your success rate should be is a lot lower. And so what happens is that you have these really good run blockers, and they get given all of the difficult assignments where they're blocking defensive ends, and they have like an average success rate. They win some reps, they lose some reps. Like that's what you're expected to do as a blocking tight end. And then they grade out as like 55, 60 run blocker, and somebody who doesn't watch the tape looks at that and they're like, oh, they're an average run blocker. Whereas like you get these zoomy 235 pounders and they're slide blocking, and they're out in space blocking safeties on the move 20 yards downfield, and they'll have like 70, 80 PFF run blocking grades. So that's my rant, and just a warning to people that look at that kind of stuff. For tight end run blocking, like almost throw it out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Texas Tech, West Virginia here. Blowout game. I mean, West Virginia has no talent to even talk about from an NFL draft perspective this year. So, I mean, and then it's not even really worth talking about the Texas Tech talent in that perspective either, because it's like, I bet I could tell you without even looking that David Bailey probably had 7 pressures and Romello Height probably had another 5. Like, it is what it is there. So they'll go up against BYU, and if BYU gets backed up a little bit, they should dominate. Those edge rushers should dominate that matchup. Again, they beat BYU the first time around, but again, BYU with their dumb number 47 wearing quarterback will try to do a lot of read option RPO stuff. So if they can stay on schedule, those pass rushers aren't going to be able to pin their ears back. But
I do have a helmet sticker though.
yeah, you do.
Texas Tech wide receiver Caleb Douglas, 5 receptions in this game, 2 touchdowns, had 240+ yard receptions as well. One of the touchdowns was a goal line fade. The other was a really nice post in the red zone, just displaying the full red zone target skill set. This was kind of like a move him up my watch list game because I have not watched him up until this week. But yeah, I'll be getting into him. Seems to be, I don't know. Have you watched him? I'm not sure how good of an athlete he is, but
yeah, he's had a really strong back half of the season. Seems to me like more of a vertical plane winner than anything else. So to me, that automatically puts you in like a round 3-4 range for me.
Yeah,
so I haven't tapped into him.
Posts and goes from what I watched.
Yeah, which is Texas Tech wide receiver in that offense. But
yep.
yeah.
One thing I will mention is so this is an interesting kind of nugget that I heard like a few months ago. I was listening to Matt Harmon, who does reception perception, like outstanding resource. And he was talking, this was in reference to Jack Besh, I believe. He was saying he's pretty much never had a receiver in his system that in college plays exclusively on one side of the field and then ends up being successful. And Caleb Douglas does that. I think he said there were like one or two outliers that he mentioned, but yeah, I mean that's an interesting thing. I think it could be a correlation causation thing because that is probably endemic to a lot of these spread like Big 12 type of offenses, which is not translatable to the NFL for other reasons besides lining up on one side of the field. But I mean, it also like, you have to if you've only run dig routes breaking to your left, like you do have to relearn how to run them, on the other side, like from a muscle memory standpoint. But it's interesting that would correlate so strongly.
Yeah, that is bizarre. It's interesting. All right, Oregon, Washington. Dante Moore about as clean as you could ask for him to be.
He's QB1, dude.
Dude, it's you don't have to squint as hard to see with him. Like that's what I'll come back to over and over again. I think we'll see some big matchups in the playoffs for both these guys that'll be a bit of a difference maker, but I tend to lean that way as well. I think I'm getting to that point where that we're hitting that inflection point between Moore and Mendoza. Like it's so clean. It's so easy to see. You don't have to squint at all to see how this guy could fit with Sean McVay or how this guy could fit with Kevin Stefanski in like the 2020 to 2022 era before like all of the turmoil that has happened in Cleveland. It's like it's so easy to see this guy fitting with NFL offensive coordinators. It's like it's seamless.
I don't know, but will Kevin Stefanski have it out for Dante Moore like he did Shadur?
Jeez. Is that territory that the Dapt on Draft podcast wants to get into? Oh man. But dude, like it's all so freaking clean. I'm ready to say that if he goes back to school, he's got the world's worst agent. Like I don't know who his agent is, but if for some reason
if he goes back to school, 2027 might be the best draft class of all time. I mean, like
the defensive talent and like the wide receiver talent that next year's class is absurd. And then we have some quarterbacks who are coming through as well. So another reason why would you just freaking declare this year then?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think just and I know it's like a stereotype that everybody's like, every draft analyst is like next year's class is better. I don't know. If you watch college football, I don't know how you could disagree that the 2027 class looks better than this year. Like that's just an objective fact. But I think just purely the lopsided, amount of talent between these two classes should be enough for more to, want to just declare this year, because I think that if we just apply like the expected development for him, then he would probably be the number one pick next year anyways. But as we've talked about so many times, you never know if like they could miss on a bunch of portal offensive linemen, and then all of a sudden he's got a terrible situation. Another quarterback goes above him, and like people, I don't. uh, People might not all realize the amount of money that you're losing by going from one to just like five or six. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
1 to 5 is $9 million guaranteed
yeah, and then it
difference.
just the drop off gets steeper and steeper.
Yeah, and he's doing this already with two offensive tackles who we've both said have had pretty subpar seasons. I mean, Alex Harkey, I don't even know if he's
Isaiah World had
draftable.
a rough
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
It's just I don't think it's
And he's doing it with DK Moore hurt for like the past month. He's doing it throwing to Gary Bryant Jr., Malik Benson, and Jeremiah McClellan. Just like he's already handicapped this year. With the
well,
tackles.
I don't know.
I mean, a little bit.
I would
I mean, I really like Sadiq
I
and
wouldn't go
Jamari
that
Johnson,
far
but
as to
yeah,
say that. I don't. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I
maybe
get what you're
that's fair.
saying,
but like the
like by
trio
Big
of
Ten
Bryant
standards,
Jr.,
they have good
Benson, and
tackles.
well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You're right. You're right. Another takeaway I have from this game offensively before I give up my helmet sticker on the defensive side of the ball here is like the more that I watch Jamari Johnson, the more I'm like, yeah, this is the second best tight end in this class. And he's a
Yeah.
redshirt sophomore, so he's not going to declare, but it's like Oregon's got both of them. They've got 1 and 2 in house.
Yeah, I've been
If
paying
Jamari does
attention to
declare.
him
Like
ever since you mentioned him. I agree with you because
he's
everybody
so good.
else that I like below Sadiq is just the highest I'll ever get with them is late third, early fourth because of their role. So
Jolie, Stowers, those
yeah.
kind of guys. Yeah, I'm right
And
there with you.
I watched Stowers tape. I watched all of his targets, all of his routes against man, all of his run blocking snaps. I'm not impressed really with this year. I thought last year's tape was a lot better.
I do too.
He had a couple good games this year, but
But Jamari, if you're listening, consider it just for fun. But I get go back and be the big dog next year. That's fine. All right, defensively, I do have a helmet sticker in this game as well. I'm going to give my second helmet sticker, and again, we're only going to do 2 helmet stickers because we do got to get to some bowl people here, bowl acceptees here soon. But safety Dylan Thieneman was all over the place. He has like 7 tackles, an interception, a sack in this game, so kind of all over the place. I graded Thieneman out this week as well. I went back and I watched this game. I watched the USC game and I watched the Penn State game. So I have a pretty good sample size of him versus his, I mean, talent wise, best opponents.
USC game was awesome.
It was. I have a high third on him. And going back to some of his high school like track times, he's a pretty decent athlete. I don't see the explosiveness necessarily translate onto the tape as well as I would like to. But Bruce Feldman said he's been clocked to 22 miles an hour.
Yeah,
GPS tracking.
His
So
tracking data. If you go back to his first 2 years, like this year, I don't have it pulled up, but it's like 75th, 80th percentile. If you go back to his first 2 years at Purdue, it's like 99.9th percentile in everything, and that speaks to how usage can really inflate and deflate.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
these tracking metrics, because in Purdue's defense, like Purdue every year, at least under the old coaching staff, ran cover 3 at the highest rate in college football every year. And Dylan Thieneman was just the single high free safety, so he's like running sideline to sideline every single play. And so that's how those metrics can kind of get. You got to have like a buffer in your head, but I think he is a very good athlete.
Yeah, you have to go back to his freshman season tape to really see the single high reps, because I mean, if you look at his splits, like freshman season, it's like 708 free safety snaps and like less than 100 box snaps. And then even last year at Purdue, it was like still majority over the top. And then this year, he's almost exclusively playing split and like robber, like that's it.
Yeah,
like almost exclusively.
He has like on his resume, he's really shown the ability to execute every single role at a high level, whether it's single high free safety, playing in the box, robber, fitting the run, like he can do it all. So I think he's an incredibly clean prospect for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so sticking with the Oregon secondary, my second helmet sticker is going to be Jaden Kennedy. Was not familiar with his game until a couple weeks ago, but standout performance here, interception and a pass breakup. The interception was in the red zone, really nice play in quarters on a wheel route. And then the pass breakup, I watched this game, went back and watched USC, and then a couple other games. The pass breakup is emblematic of something that I see a lot on his tape, which is being comfortable playing the ball with his back to the quarterback, and comfortable playing the ball in trail technique as well. He had a really nice pass breakup against Malik Neighbors on like a speed out that was pretty similar. But this one was on a deep post that was breaking to the sideline, timed his punch perfectly with the ball arriving. He did get beat on a play, an outbreaking route in this game, but really solid performance and kind of just a helmet sticker to over the past couple weeks, which I think have been really strong tape.
I've loved Jaden Kennedy ever since his Tulane tape. Like I remember watching him back in Tulane, way back in the day, and then he transferred to Ole Miss, and then they had him playing outside corner, and it was the tape's a little rough. I still don't know if he's got like strong over the top like long speed to really run, like turn and run. But if you're playing in the nickel, I don't know if you really need to have consistent turn and run speed as well. But his Oregon nickel tape has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. He might be my not like top nickel, but like favorite nickel in the class, just because again I've been a fan of his for so long. Been following him for a while.
Yeah, all right. I gave him a preliminary late third, but we'll change that as I go back to some more games of his tape.
Love it. I love it. All right, scrolling through here again. I think we could probably talk about the Iron Bowl a little bit and just about the continued downward trajectory of Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Like this is back to school, buddy. Just go back to school.
I saw somebody in the Discord suggest we do like a back to school transfer declare for like a list of players.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I like that idea. But yeah, Ty Simpson would be firmly back to school for me, not transfer.
But now, like I think I'm having a similar conversation with Ty Simpson heading into next year that I had with Carson Beck, where it's like, even if you do play better, I've seen enough that makes me think that like, how high do I think your ceiling can be? You know. Yeah. So I have a hard time coming back from this past month of play.
I don't know. I think if the accuracy can improve, I feel good about him being a plus starter. But that's a roll of the dice. That's something I'm comfortable like keeping an eye on for next year. It's not something I would be comfortable drafting early to be my franchise quarterback.
Agreed. In terms of games to talk about, that's probably a good place to quit and move on to our discourse on some of these bowl players who've accepted invites to either Shrine or Senior Bowl.
Yeah, man. This is how you know it's starting to be draft season. It gets me excited once the invites start rolling in, and not only the players that like we've been watching all year, but I mean every year there are so many new names, just like random guys that I see accept an invite that I never heard of, and so
I found a whole new bowl game that I've never heard of, like that was getting posted today. I was like, what the heck is the American Bowl?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I might need to add that to my.
I don't know if you do or not. Like if it's the equivalent of like the Hula Bowl, then it's like okay, I don't really. Yeah. I'm not gonna pay.
But so what Corey and I were talking about doing is probably every week, since we're not gonna have a weekly slate of games, is to do like a weekly roundup of maybe look at 4 or 5 bowl acceptances and specifically focus on players that we haven't talked about in depth on the podcast so far. So we've got some players, mostly senior, but a few Shrine. I've been watching a lot of tape on these guys mainly today. So if we want to get into it,
let's dive in. Let's follow your lead on this one. I know you've got the watch list ready to roll.
So I'll start with the quickest one, which was SMU receiver Romello Brinson. So I watched all of his targets, and I watched. He was one of the first players I watched today because he has the measurables, but his
Uh-huh.
hands are just such an issue. Both in terms of focus drops and strength at the catch point. He is 6'2", 190, long strider with some good explosiveness, and you see that on like double posts, like a Carnell Tate kind of route tree
Hmm.
that he can run. I think there is some big playability. The Baylor game, let's see. Yeah, it was Baylor early in the year. I mean, he had two incredible catches. The season was kind of downhill for him after that. So it is he to me. I would have pegged him as more of a shrine guy. I'll say will be
Yeah.
the that's the nice way I'll put it.
Yeah, a scout told me about Romello Brinson. He's like, scouts love Romello Brinson, but like as the kind of guy you want your team to draft in the 7th round.
Right.
So yeah, no disagreements with what you said there. Where do you want to head to next year?
Um, do you want to talk about Red Murdoch out of
Yeah,
Buffalo? Yeah.
yeah. So Red Murdoch is kind of a slow burn for me. He almost seems like like Dollar Tree Josiah Trotter almost.
Yeah.
Like his play style, like again, just kind of sits hook curl, but I think he gets manipulated even worse than Trotter does in sitting hook curl. The change of direction is not great. I don't think the sideline to sideline explosiveness is very good, but when he does come downhill and he can punch, he can punch when he takes on blockers who are climbing up to the second level to take him on. I will say if if blockers are able to get into his frame, I don't see a lot of play strength to disengage those blockers and clear his frame. But like if he can punch first on those blockers coming downhill, he can let them know a little bit. Pretty firm tackler in the hole, misses a lot in space. So I think he's like a career 12% missed tackled guy. And I watched the Ohio game and UConn game. Most recent game, and then UConn's probably other than week 1 against Minnesota, UConn's probably the best competition they played this season. So I wanted to see that game too. And if you can get him out in space, he's a little bit of a liability out there in terms of trying to make sure he gets ball carriers to the ground. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's probably like 6 foot 235 as well. So like his body's pretty capped out and not a ton of like straight line explosiveness in my opinion, and still a little bit of tightness in the hips. But if you keep him, in the box, in the tackle box, and can just let him scrape and let him fit, he's a pretty solid linebacker. But like that's a day 3 linebacker to me. But I think he should have a decent week at Shrine against those guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got him late 4. I pretty much agree with most of your assessment. The one thing I would say, I think it's more that he doesn't have the length to disengage once guys get in his frame, cuz I felt like his play strength and like anchor was pretty solid. Um Especially cuz like I had come off of watching who was Sean Dolak from last year, who was just like got flicked around. But yeah, I have a late 4th on Murdoch. He'll be fun to watch at the Shrine Bowl. We'll both be there.
Yep.
So
Yep. Let's move on to
next,
Keelan Rutledge. You want to
yeah,
move on to Rutledge?
let's do Keelan Rutledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched Georgia and Wake Forest. Those were the 2 games. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna watch a couple more. And my initial assessment, I'm a little bit higher on him so far than I think you are. Um, as a run blocker, I mean, there's just some dominant finishing ability and play strength, power at the point of contact. That's obviously the selling point. I was really impressed with the pass pro though, and the precision with his hands and power with his strike. Um, there are some times where like I think he's a little bit stiff, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the foot speed is great, and so
Mm-hmm.
I don't imagine he'll be like a top 80 guy, but maybe 80 to 120 would be my prediction at this point. But interested to hear your thoughts on him, because I think you've watched a little bit
Yeah.
more than me.
I see him as like a 100 to 150 kind of guy.
Okay.
So potentially like a top 125 guy, but I definitely agree with the stiffness. My biggest takeaway watching Rutledge is like, I think off air I texted you and I called him a WWE guard. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
those
that's
guards who just
perfect.
want to land knockout punches every opportunity they get.
Right.
Like every rep, he's just looking to like run full speed and like clothesline somebody,
Yep.
just looking to bury the guy across from him. So like, and that's like to that's both a pro and a con, right? Like you can't teach that in guards, but also I think there's sometimes he can get out over his skis a little bit and drop his eyes because he's just trying to punch the dude across from him as hard as he can. Um, Again, pass pro, the anchor's good, but again, I'm right there with you. Not a lot of knee bend and not excellent foot speed. So I would have him pegged as like a midday 3 guy. Maybe early to midday 3 guy.
I do think like the Georgia tape. I don't know if you've watched it. It was really impressive. Like it was a solid performance for sure.
Good.
All right. Next player. Should we do the Kansas State? I watched
Sam
VJ
Heck.
Payne safety, and then you can maybe lead off with Sam Hecht, the center.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about him. Sam Hecht, for starters, the guy's 280 pounds soaking wet. Like the guy's clearly really undersized. He might go to like weigh in at like 304 at the combine, just full of water weight. But the guy's very clearly really small. Um, but he moves like a tight end because he kind of is built like one. But he moves really well in space, gets down the line of scrimmage really well, scoops out well, climbs well. So any sort of movement skill, redirects well, any sort of movement skill, like I think he's got A+ movement skills, no stiffness in his lower half, really good knee bend. And so that's the calling card of his game. Again, with a center who is, I mean, max 290 pounds. Like if I want to give him, I'd give him max 290. Like not a lot of punch in his hands.
So the NFS measurables 6'4", 297, which is 13th percentile. 31.75-inch
Yeah.
arms, which is 21st percentile. 11th percentile wingspan, 21st percentile hand size.
Yeah.
88th percentile speed score.
Yeah. So excellent athlete. Lots of deficiencies that. So I had a scout to me that like he's got a pretty high mark on Hecht, but I was like, I can see it, but like he's really scheme specific. Um, and like I struggle to think about him lining up directly across from Dexter Lawrence or directly across from these big noses who are just going to go straight through his chest. So I mean, that's a day 3. I think he's draftable, obviously, and I think probably same range as Rutledge, maybe a little bit later than Rutledge is where I'd feel comfortable drafting Sam Hecht.
Yeah, I don't really see it with Sam Hecht. I mean, I would agree with you. A draftable but low grade is
Mhm.
what I have. For me, definitely lower than Keelan Rutledge so far. I just think he's going to get overwhelmed by power at the next level, and like he's definitely a good zone blocker, but the zone blocking and the run blocking tape in general is just
Mhm.
to me nowhere near, forget dominant, like good enough to justify the issues that or to offset the issues that I have in pass pro. So yeah, I've got early mid 6th on Sam Hecht. There is a Kansas State player that I really like, and I think VJ Payne, the safety, has a chance to go a lot earlier than people expect. So measurables wise, I mean, this is going to
Mhm.
be an RAS. Like he'll be at the top of the first page when you look at RAS for this class. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
So measurables from the summer: 6'3" flat, 210 pounds, 73rd percentile for safeties. Arm length is 33 and an eighth, 94th percentile, and then a 99th percentile wingspan, 81 inches. The 9-inch hands, maybe a concern, not really for me. But dude is a cyborg, and he is extremely fast. I mean, they play him in press man on tight ends and slot receivers. He runs with them step for step. His length is extremely valuable when it comes to taking on blocks. Very consistent wrap up tackler, although he is a little bit stiff just at his height, like in open space, breaking down, mirroring ball carriers when they're changing directions. Um, my biggest hang up with VJ Payne is I wish there was more ball production, but his role doesn't really lend itself to him getting targeted a bunch. Like he just um
Mhm.
I don't when I watch his tape, it's not like he is missing out on a ton of opportunities to play the ball, is what I'll say. So I think that he could be a riser with like, combine testing and everything. I liked him over the summer, but I bumped him up to a mid third round grade. He's right inside my top 75 right now, and that's after four. I watched 4 games. I'll watch some more when I write the report, but I think I got a good mix of what seemed to be like his good and bad games.
Yeah, I like Payne too. Good player. I know he came into the season with some love from scouts too. Um, so yeah, definitely a good player there. Do we want to talk about Mike Williams or Mike Washington? Close it out with Mike Washington.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, Mike Washington. So
Arkansas running back.
Arkansas running back. Another player that a scout's like, listen, man, of all the running backs that you could tell me about, like if Mike Washington's not an NFL running back, I don't know if those guys are. And in this running back class, that's probably a good statement, a true
Right.
statement. But Mike Washington's fun. I really like his short area quickness, his ability to be creative in a phone booth. When it feels like he's boxed in at the second, even climbing up through the second to third level, that ability to continually be creative and hunting out further green grass, like very good vision, very good decisiveness. I think he sets up his blocks well, runs with a lot of patience. The biggest issue with Mike Washington is that once the foot goes in the ground, it's not 0 to 100. It's about like 0 to 45 miles an hour. So like both the initial burst and then like the long speed, it's just like, I don't see a good fire out when he does hit that back foot. And then like the pull away speed is definitely not there.
Yeah.
But like he plays fast in a booth, like in a phone booth. And like, if you can do that at the NFL level, even with like 4.6 speed, like you can carve out a role. We've seen it time and time again. So, and then in the passing game, I think he has dependable hands. His pass pro is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. And then like he's also like he's got dependable hands, like, but he's only catching checks. Like he's not a player you can isolate in space. He's not a player you're manufacturing touches for. So pretty status quo. Even maybe a net negative a little bit in the passing game, just because the pass pro is like bad. But again, in terms of a committee back, like I love the vision, I love the patience, love the short area quickness and creativity to find any sliver of green grass you can find.
Yeah, that was mostly just like reading off of my scouting report, I would say. My biggest issue with him was he just so I think his vision on wide zone to find cutback lanes was exceptional, but then when he's trying to change directions and get out of that jump cut, it's just a little bit too clunky, and he gets the pursuit closes in on him when he's trying to burst through the second level. And so there's a lot of 6 and 7 yard runs on wide zone cutbacks that for in college you want those to be big explosive plays, and then when you get to the NFL they become 6 and 7 yard runs. I think if they're 6 and 7 yard runs in the NFL, I worry that they're going to be 0 and 1 yard run, or you get what I'm saying. I think they're going to be 0 and 1 yard runs in the NFL because the defensive line is going to close in on them. I think in the passing game, yeah, the hands are extremely reliable. The pass pro, I think there is some upside because he is willing, and there are flashes of pretty sound technique, but overall, yeah, the results are just. I mean, it's a wide range of issues from like vision and blitz pickup to
Just
leaning.
dropping his eyes, yeah.
Yeah. So probably not a third down back. And yeah, the first 2 things that I wrote in my notes were lacks breakaway gear, lacks explosiveness to the second level. So
Yeah.
firmly a day three guy, but I do like him. And in this running back class, Do you think like RB4, RB5 could be?
I put a 4th round grade on him, so I think he could be in that conversation for like, yeah, like outside of those guys that you draft. Like when we're talking a day one, obviously we're talking the muscle hamsters, the bell cows, the guys that have no deficiencies in it. Like Jeremiah Love, you could throw him the ball in space. He has excellent creativity, explosiveness out the wazoo, and then you look at the body type and you're like, yeah, that's a round 1 running back. Round 2 running backs are like Devon Achan type players, right? Like the guys that you can find
Henderson.
Yeah, the guys you can find very specific roles for, guys that you could stick on the field day one and say, like, I know that I can put the ball in this guy's hands and he's going to make a play for me. It might not be a carved out like meaty role, but like this guy can make plays day one. Those are day 2 backs, and then day 3 backs are like, if I put this guy in a committee, he could give me some valuable snaps. Like that's day 3 backs to me.
Utility.
Yeah.
Should mention with Mike Washington's size, listed size is 6'2", 228. So healthy individual.
Yes. Healthy back for sure. All right, man. You got anything else?
It's a jam-packed episode.
It's a healthy episode for sure. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk corners. So we're gonna pick 5 or 6 names here, and then we're gonna go through them for you guys to kind of refresh as we've been doing position by position here on a week-to-week basis. So we're doing corners tomorrow, and then we'll round out conference championship week. Just breaking down NFL draft implications and head-to-head matchups to watch for. But until next time, man, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. See ya.